Hi, my name is Amy Conklin, and this is my presentation on gifts to students and staff. We're going to start out by discussing gifts for students, and there are two times that this might be appropriate. One is for incentives for fundraising, to make sure our kids go out there and raise money for our schools. It's appropriate to give them gifts for participating in that event. And the second time it's appropriate to give gifts to students is for special achievement, such as honor awards for academics and athletic events. So first, we're going to talk about fundraising gifts for students. So there's some guidelines we have to keep in mind when we're thinking about these incentives. One, it should only be given to students who participate in the event. Two, we have to keep in mind it should be age appropriate. And the gift should not impact the overall profit raised, because we're going to take these gifts and purchase them from the funds that were raised during the event. So we have to be careful to not take away our profit in getting these incentives. The other time that it's appropriate to give students gifts is for those special achievements. Again, we have to keep in mind value and keep it at a nominal level. Again, make sure it's age appropriate. And the funds for these gifts can come from the general fund, donations, or athletic funds. So now we're going to move on to gifts that could be given to staff. One way this could happen is through the Staff Remembrance Fund. And that's a fund that's going to be put together from staff donations or from their annual dues, or it could even be raised by the staff. The staff could put on an event where they're going to raise money specifically for this fund, or have like a pop machine in the lounge that this is where the funds go to. And these funds are going to be used for different life events, maybe like for a wedding or baby shower, but this should be guided by written procedures for use. How much money is going to be given. This should be coordinated by a committee, and this committee should rotate annually. And again, we have to keep in mind price. The gift should be reasonably priced. It might sometimes be appropriate to have fundraising incentives for staff if they participate. And again, cost needs to come into your mind and shouldn't be more than 5% of the profit, because again, you don't want to use all of the money you've gained into giving gifts. Another time where staff may be given gifts is beginning of the year or around Teacher Appreciation Week. And there are some things we have to keep in mind when we are giving a gift to all staff. One, this can be done through funds generated or donated. Some districts do allow these gifts to be taken out of the general fund, but I would say you have to be careful with this. Again, the gifts should be inexpensive. They should be useful in the classroom, because you really need to be careful that if you're taking it out of the general fund, then it should benefit the whole school community. And so you want to make sure you're not just benefiting the teachers, but perhaps taking a look at how this might benefit students as well. And you really should not use cash or gift certificates, because that becomes part of an employee's taxable income and would have to go on their W-2s. Another time where gifts might be given out is for those special efforts you might want to put together when a particular student or staff member might have an illness or they've gone through a catastrophic event. I can think of a few times in our school community where we've had someone impacted with cancer, or unfortunately they've had their house burned down in a fire. And so there have been times where the school community gets together. They want to help out. They want to make sure the person is okay. But you do have to watch out a little bit with this. And I would say one of the things you need to do is seek advice from your district accounting department to make sure you're not overstepping any rules or policies or guidelines. Again, you have to be careful with cash, because if it is organized by the school and money is given to a staff member, that does become part of their taxable income. So you'd want to be really careful with that, knowing that the person has had something pretty major happen in their life. And so sometimes it's best to have a parent organization kind of do the event and run it, so that we don't have to be so careful with some of those rules that we have to follow as a school district. My slides keep skipping here. So just overall, some rules of thumb you want to consider when you're doing any kind of gifts in a school. One, always keep public opinion in mind. So that's where you're going to watch the expense level of gifts. If you are giving real elaborate gifts or often giving gifts, it's going to give public the opinion that we have lots of money and that, boy, should they be spending money on the students instead of just giving gifts all the time. So you have to be careful with that. And if you're trying to decide if an item is a gift or not, one way to think about it is if the item leaves the classroom, if the teacher leaves, then it's a gift. But if the item stays, even if the teacher leaves, then that is not considered a gift. Here is the book that I used to gain this information for my presentation, and it's from School Money Matters, a Handbook for Principals, 2nd edition. Thank you.